In this module, we will be discussing a critical vulnerability in checkpoint security gateways, specifically identified as CVE 2024-24919. Securing these gateways is vital as they are widely deployed in many enterprise environments. We'll delve into the nature of this vulnerability, its potential impacts, and how to protect your systems against it. This vulnerability allows for arbitrary file read access, posing a significant threat as evidenced by its high CVSS score of 8.6, indicating a high-severity issue. Understanding and addressing this vulnerability is crucial for maintaining robust security across your network infrastructure. In this slide, we're introducing CVE 2024-24919, a critical vulnerability affecting checkpoint security gateways. This vulnerability allows arbitrary file reading, potentially exposing sensitive information. It's highly relevant given that checkpoint devices are widely deployed in enterprise environments, meaning many organizations could be at risk. With a CVSS score of 8.6, this vulnerability is classified as high severity, underscoring the urgency for security teams to understand and address it promptly. The slide we're looking at dives into the specific details of the software and features affected by the CVE 2024-24919 vulnerability. First, let's clarify the targeted software. This is impacting the checkpoint quantum security gateways, specifically the R8020.X, R8020SP, R8040, R81, R8110, and R8120. Now, when it comes to the impacted features, the vulnerability affects two critical areas: remote access VPN and mobile access software blades. Understanding which aspects of the system are at risk is crucial for assessing the severity and potential spread of the exploit, which we will discuss in more detail in upcoming sections. This vulnerability allows malicious actors to leverage these components to read arbitrary files, potentially compromising sensitive data and the security of the network. Having this detailed information is essential for administrators and security professionals to focus their mitigation efforts and ensure any necessary patches or workarounds are applied to protect these critical assets. On this slide, we focus on the impact of the CVE 2024-24919 vulnerability. If this vulnerability is exploited, there are several serious potential consequences. Unauthorized data read access is one of the primary risks, which means that attackers could potentially read data they shouldn't have access to. This could lead to the exposure of sensitive information, such as passwords or SSH keys. Moreover, the vulnerability poses a significant risk of lateral movement within networks. This means that once an attacker gains access to one part of the network, they could potentially move around and access other parts of the network. An example scenario could involve the extraction of Active Directory credentials. Such credentials often grant access to a broad range of systems and can be particularly damaging if compromised. Understanding these impacts helps highlight the gravity of addressing this vulnerability promptly. Now let's discuss mitigation strategies for CVE 2024-24919. To address this vulnerability, Check Point has released specific hotfixes. It is essential to apply these hotfixes to mitigate the risk effectively. Make sure to verify the fix version, such as R81.20 or R81.10, to ensure compatibility and effectiveness. In addition to applying the hotfixes, there are some best practices to follow. Regularly updating your firmware is critical to maintaining security and protecting against newly discovered vulnerabilities. Also, enable advanced security settings like intrusion prevention systems, IPS, and configuring VPNs properly. These measures will enhance your defenses and reduce the likelihood of unauthorized access incidents. By sticking to these strategies, you can better protect your systems and minimize the risks associated with this vulnerability. Let's dive into the tools we can use for detection and analysis of vulnerable software. One highly effective tool is Census. The main purpose of Census is to help identify exposed instances of vulnerable software across various networks. Census allows you to execute specific commands to find relevant data. For example, to identify checkpoint instances, you can use commands like host.services software, vendor checkpoint, and product quantum security gateway, host.services software, vendor checkpoint, and product quantum spark gateway, These queries perform a comprehensive scan, identifying all instances of the specified software, thereby helping in better management and mitigation of vulnerabilities. In this scenario, we'll discuss a real-world example of identifying vulnerable devices using Census. Recently, Census identified 13,754 checkpoint VPN gateways that are exposing vulnerable software. The majority of these devices are located in Japan, with the highest concentration being in OCN NTT Communications Corporation. This highlights the importance of using tools like Census to detect exposed instances and understand the geographical distribution of such vulnerabilities, allowing for more effective remediation efforts. Now that we have identified these vulnerable devices, it's crucial to keep an eye out for exploitation activities and take preventive measures accordingly. The current slide addresses the exploitation status of the identified vulnerable devices. We've observed active exploitation in the wild. Attackers are using techniques such as reading password hashes and lateral movement to further their malicious activities. It's important to note that these exploitations have been reported starting from April 7, 2024. This timeline signifies that the threat is current and ongoing, underscoring the urgent need to address these vulnerabilities. Let's now focus on the remediation steps to address the detected vulnerabilities. The first action step is to update to the patched versions of the software. Check Point has released specific updates that you need to refer to for this purpose. Next, it's essential to reset local account credentials to ensure that any potentially compromised access is revoked. For identifying devices that remain vulnerable, you can use a census query. Specifically, search for devices listed under the criteria Vulnerable Checkpoint Quantum Spark Gateway, CVE-2024-24919. By following these steps, you can significantly enhance your security posture and mitigate the risks posed by the detected vulnerabilities. In this slide, we're going to dive into some practical application tips that you can implement to enhance security and protect against vulnerabilities, particularly with respect to the Checkpoint Quantum Spark Gateway, CVE-2024-24919. First, let's discuss some crucial security measures. Ensuring that your VPN and mobile access blades configurations are secure is essential. This can prevent unauthorized access and potential breaches. Regularly updating your firmware and applying hotfixes as soon as they are released by Check Point is equally important. Staying current with these updates can patch vulnerabilities before they can be exploited. Next, for some real-world advice, immediate action is necessary upon detection of vulnerable devices. Simply put, don't wait. As soon as you identify a vulnerability, take the necessary steps to remediate it. Continuous monitoring is also key. Utilize tools like Census and other network security platforms to keep an eye on your systems. These tools can provide you with the visibility needed to detect and respond to issues in a timely manner. By implementing these practical tips, you can bolster your security posture and protect your network from potential threats associated with CVE 2024-24919. In summary, we've discussed the critical nature of CVE 2024-24919 and its widespread impact on network security. It's important to understand that timely mitigation and continuous monitoring are vital in protecting your systems against this vulnerability. Keeping your systems regularly updated and applying best security practices are essential steps. Additionally, employing tools like Census can significantly aid in proactive detection efforts. These measures collectively ensure that your network remains secure and resilient against potential threats. Remember, staying vigilant and informed is key to maintaining robust security. For further reading on CVE 2024-24919 and its implications, here are some useful references. You can consult Check Point support for detailed advisories and guidance. The National Vulnerability Database, NVD, also provides comprehensive information on this particular CVE. Additionally, the Census blog offers insightful analysis and practical steps for detecting and mitigating such vulnerabilities. These resources will help in staying informed and enhancing your security measures. Thank you. As we conclude this session, we would love to hear your thoughts. Did you enjoy the content? Please leave a like if you found it valuable, and feel free to comment below with your insights or questions. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated on future courses. Lastly, if you think this information would be helpful to others, share it with your friends and colleagues. Your engagement helps us improve and reach more people. Thank you again for your participation.